Let's start with the prayers. Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyama Asmadacharya
Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam.
Om
Sahana Bhavatu
Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahi
Bhavahai
Tejasvinavadhitamastu
Tejasvinavadhitamastu
Vidvishavahi Om
Om Shanti
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 Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitartaya Tattva Bodho Vidhiyate. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Meet you all. So welcome back. Great to see you all. We were on the topic of Vyashti Vichara, analysis of the microcosm, right? The individual jiva, that is. And we were talking about, in order to understand Atma, we also need to understand what is Anatma, because there exists a confusion when I say I am. There is also, if I was completely ignorant about who I am, this concept, then there would be no confusion, but there is a confusion. We all have a sense of what it means when we say I am, an incomplete sense. So, and a lot of what we think we are is anatma. So that's why we are first trying to understand what is anatma. And in this, we are going through the three bodies initially, right? So we finished the Sthula Shareeram, the physical body, and then we were looking at the Sukshma Shareeram, the subtle body. And we said that the Sukshma Shareeram has 17 parts, right? So we covered the Pancha Jnanendriyas, the 5 organs of knowledge, the input organs, and the 5 Karmendriyas, the 5 organs of action, the output organs. And if you remember, we said that each of the Jnanendriyas can grasp one of the 5-fold aspects of creation. It could be sound, touch, smell, so on. It's called Vishaya. And there is this finite capacity of each is a portion of an infinite potential. And this infinite potential of that Vishaya, we call Devata. And we went through what are the Devatas for the Jnanendriyas and the Karmendriyas. Now, out of the 17 constituents of Sukshma Shareeram, we did 10, the 5 Jnanendriyas and the 5 Karmendriyas. And so these leaves us now with 7 more. So we will get into that now. So either maybe some part of this text got lost, or the author thought not important to elaborate, we don't know. But these 7 are not mentioned in the Tattva Bodha text that we have. But we have this information from other sources and Shastras, so we will go into that anyway. So the next 5 is the 5-fold pranic system. This is the Panchavayu, or also known as prana. This is the physiological system in the body. This 5-fold prana the first is called prana itself. This refers to the respiratory system. This is an upward moving force. One sec, I'll just put on my earphones. Yes, this is an upward moving force. And the second one is apana, which is a downward moving force. This is the evacuatory system in our body. This is the power of removal of waste and childbirth, also menstruation. All these physiological functions in our body are thanks to the apana power. Then the third prana is vyana. This is the circulatory system. This is how the energy gets distributed throughout our body. And then we have samana, which is the digestive power. This converts the food into energy. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 14, Ishvara says, I manifest as the digestive power. So all these powers that we are talking about, we can all look at them also as manifestations of Ishvara or Devatas itself. Right? Then we have the last one, Udana. This is the emergency evacuation system. So if you accidentally consume some toxin or poison, even excessive alcohol, you end up vomiting it or evacuate, or if there is a dirt in your eyes, there will be, your tear glands will kind of go into overdrive and they will bring out tears and flush out this dirt from your eyes. So all these happens very automatically. This is thanks to the Udana Vayu. So when we also have some unhealthy emotions, then also tears come as a way of release. Correct? So actually scientists classify tears that we have into 3 types. One is the reflex tears, the second is the continuous tears, and the third is emotional tears. Now, while the first 2 kinds are continuous tears is what just keeps your eyes moist, right? And reflex tears is for these emergency situations where there is dirt in your eye and so on. These tears are different from the tears you have when you cry because you feel sad or are overwhelmed with any other kind of emotion. And analyzing this third type of tear, it is found that a lot of stress hormones and toxins are also released in these tears. So it's your body's way, when you have an urge to cry, it's your body's way of releasing these toxins from your body. It then generates the more feel-good hormones in your body, which is why it's very important that if someone's crying out of sadness, we should never tell them to not cry. You should just be there for them and let them cry as much as they need, and that will help them release these tears. You can, if you want to help, you can help them by giving them a glass of water so they can rehydrate themselves, but it's always good for people to cry. And same for you, if none of these natural urges of the body as per Ayurveda should be stopped. So your urge to cry, your urge to go to the toilet or sneeze, none of these urges, passing gas, none of these urges should be stopped as per Ayurveda. So that's a bit of a digression, but that's the 5-fold pranic system: prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udana. Right? And then we come to the next instrument of the Sukshma Shareeram, which is manaha, mind. The part of so manaha and buddhi, which will come next, they're called as part of the internal instruments, the antarkarana. So this is the part of the internal instruments, manaha, which asks questions. It's called sankalpa vikalpa atmakam. It is going between question and answer. I wonder, I doubt, oscillating between 2 ideas. It can also be the emotional part of the brain. All this comes under manaha. And then we have buddhi, the intellect,
Manaha was the mind and Buddhi is the intellect. Buddhi now is the rationalizing and deciding faculty. It's called Nishchayatmika Buddhi. It's what stops the oscillation and comes to a specific decision. It's when you say, I have decided. That's the faculty of Buddhi. So sometimes, so someone also asked this question in the previous class, that we say that some texts mention 19 instruments of Sukshma Shareeram, but the Tattva Bodha text itself mentions 17. So this is, they're both talking about the same thing. It's just a slightly different classification. So what some texts do is they add 2 more, which are also part of the Antakarna, the inner instrument, which is Chitta and Ahamkara. So Chitta and Ahamkara, which I'll explain, can also be considered as part of Manaha and Buddhi in one way, or they can be, it's kind of a super classification to classify them separately. So what is Chitta? Chitta is the faculty of memory. It's the storehouse of memories from this and even past lives. This is the I remember, which also explains, why some people can have past life memories, why we have all these tendencies from childhood which are inexplainable. Even 2 siblings will have completely different tendencies sometimes. So this is where it comes from, because Sukshma Shareeram, if you remember, we said survives from birth to birth. It has a much longer lifetime than your Sthula Shareeram. It only gets destroyed at the time of Pralayam, the destruction of the universe, or at the time of moksha. So in one way, this Chitta can also be put under both Manaha and Buddhi. So if the recollection, we said it's a faculty of memory, so if the recollection of an emotion is happening, or recollection of something which leads to emotion, then it's put as part of Manas. But if it's a recollection of an object, example, I ate a banana for breakfast, there is no emotion involved, in that case, it will come under Buddhi. But you can also understand it just as Chitta, it's the faculty of memory, storehouse of memories. And finally, Ahankara, which is the last instrument of the Antarkarna, is the I amness, the identity of what we think I am. I am a woman, I am a mother, I am an employee, I am fair, I am intelligent. All this is what we think I am, is ahamkara. It's also translated loosely as ego. So you have to understand it different from the traditional usage of ego in the English language. So it's not to do with the, but you can see where it comes from, right? It's not about having a superiority complex, because this ahamkara can also be to do with negative things. It can also be thinking, oh, I'm so dumb, or, I'm not very good at this, things like that. So ahamkara is whatever you think I am, which Shastra will tell you is a false notion. Right. So, but this brings us to the end of Sukshma Shareeram. The text, like I said, mentioned 17. And if you take Chitta and Ahamkara, it becomes 90. But that's the total instruments under Sukshma Shareeram. Any questions here before we move on to the next part?
So this Udana is active at the time of death, I understand.
Yes, that's correct. It's also pushes out. Thank you for mentioning that. I missed that. It's also what the final act of Udana is, to chuck out the Sukshma Shareeram at the time of death from the body.
Skandanati, you mentioned that Buddhi is the deciding factor, right?
Right, Kriti?
So
Yeah,
if there are, can you hear me?
yeah, your voice
Am
is
I
a
audible?
bit distorted, but yeah, please go ahead.
So I was asking that you mentioned that Buddhi is the deciding factor where, we make decisions. So
Mhm.
there are, like, we see a lot of people who are indecisive in many ways. So can we, like, how does it relate to this?
So maybe the buddhi is not functioning as strongly, but I mean, that's a different thing altogether. But yeah, it's their, yeah, it's deciding faculty is buddhi, yes. We can say maybe that instrument is not as refined in some people as someone else, right? But it can, but we can always better what we are born with, so someone can choose to learn to play chess, learn a new language. All these things improves one's intellect. Just learn Vedic mathematics, so there are certain things we're born with, but we can always better them. That's a function of karma again.
Yeah. And like in Sankhya philosophy, I've read it says that Buddhi is
So let's
higher than.
so let's not go into Sankhya
Okay,
philosophy.
okay. Because I
Yeah,
was
also
confusing it with that also.
yeah. Sankhya says a lot of different things, and I'm not an expert on Sankhya, so I'm also not an authority to comment on it. Okay, so let's move on. So we're entering a very interesting topic now. It's described as anirvachaniyam, which means not completely describable. So let's try our best and see how we do. So we will chant. This is on page 9. You can unmute yourselves. Karana Shareeram Kim Anirvachya Anadividyarupam
अनादिविद्यारूपम्
Shariradvayasya
शरीरद्वस्य
Karanamatram
कारणात्
Tatsvarupa Jnanam
तत्स्वरूपज्ञानम्
Nirvikalpakarupam
अनिर्विकल्पकरूपम्
Yadasti
यदस्ति
Tatkaranashariram.
तत्कारणशरीरम्
Thank you. So the author starts saying anirvachya. It's a forewarning given to us by the author that this is difficult to understand. So your sharpest focus now here is required. And I will try my best to unfold this for you. So the author starts by saying anirvachya anadi avidya rupam. It is the nature of indefinable, beginningless avidya, Shareeradvayasya, of the two bodies, that is the gross and the subtle bodies, Karanamatram. It is merely the cause. It is merely the cause of the gross and subtle bodies. Satsvarupa Ajnanam. It is the ignorance of one's own nature. Nirvikalpaka Rupam. It is in the form of undifferentiated. Yadasti, which is Tat, that is Karana Shareeram. That is the causal body. So simply put, it is of the nature of indefinable, beginningless ignorance of, it is the cause of the two bodies, the gross and the subtle. It is the ignorance of one's own nature It is in an undifferentiated form, this causal body. So what is the function of this causal body of Karana Shareeram? So to understand this, we must understand an important law of creation that is important in scriptures, and modern science accepts this as well. This important law is that nothing can be created. In science, you have the law of conservation of matter. It says matter can never be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. So when we look at the creation of pot or the cup that we talked about, the potter didn't really create anything new. The pot was already existent in the form of clay. So nothing got added. It was only a modification. It was a transformation from one form to another. And Shastra tells us that this transformation is falsely called creation. So everything which exists in creation today has always existed, either in manifest form or an unmanifest form. A wooden table today existed as pieces of wood. Before that, it existed as a tree. And before there was the tree, there existed the seed. Same with the human body. Before the baby was born, it existed as a fetus. Before the fetus came to be, it existed as the embryo. And before that, as the sperm and egg of the father and the mother. When the table is destroyed or the body dies, one may burn them and turn them into ash, and this ash will mix with the earth, and from there something new will be born again. Similarly, the Stula and Sukshma Shareeram, before they came into existence, must have existed in another form. And after Pralayam, that is the universal destruction, the dissolution of the universe, they will go back into unmanifest form. This unmanifest seed form is what we refer to as the Karana Shareeram. So scientists studying cosmology, they talk of the Big Bang, that the universe started from a single point and it expanded to what it is now, and that it is still expanding. They call it singularity. In Vedanta, we call it avyaktam. It's an important technical word for you to understand. Avyaktam meaning unmanifest. So hence, when we talk about Pralayam, the resolution of the universe, it is not destruction per se. It is merely the manifest universe, the Vyakta Rupam of the universe, going back to the unmanifest condition, to Avyaktam. And here the author says, Shareera Dvayasya Karana Matram. This Karana Shareeram, it is the cause of the two bodies. Matram, only the cause. This is the function of the Karana Shareeram. So Karana itself means cause, and Karyam is the product. So the Stula and Sukshma Shareeram are the Karyam, products of the Karana Shareeram. So this Karana Shareeram functioning as the seed for the Stula and Sukshma Shareeram. And like we said, at Shrishti, at the time of creation, these Stula Sukshma Shareeram manifest, and at the time of Pralayam, they go back to unmanifest condition. And this is, as per Shastra, creation is cyclical. So there was not, the origin of the universe was not one point in time where the universe all began. It's cyclical. So this cycle of creation of the universe, where it temporarily in manifest state, and the resolution of the universe and the subsequent creation, this is all a cycle. And this, whenever, so we falsely call this manifestation as creation and this contraction as destruction. So Vedanta always told us that creation is cyclical. Scientists recently have started saying this too. So if you're aware, there is the scientist, physicist Roger Penrose. He's the 2020 Nobel laureate for a study on black holes. He was a contemporary of Stephen Hawking. He is a contemporary of Stephen Hawking. He came up with the theory that creation didn't start with the Big Bang. That when one studies the black holes, they can see evidence of previous universe in these. And this he calls the conformal cyclical cosmology theory. So this talks about the infinite cycles surrounding the universe and the Big Bang. So when I mention these facts from science or cosmology, it's because it's useful for a Vedanta student to have an appreciation of cosmology, to just understand the sheer magnitude of everything that we are talking about. So when you understand cosmology and realize, where does Earth really fall in this entire, galaxy of stars, right? You can really appreciate the magnificence of Ishvara. But like we said before, we don't look to science for proof of what Vedas says. Because if you remember, Vedas as pramanam is self-valid, right? So moreover, scientific views itself keep changing over time. First they said there was Big Bang, now they think creation is cyclical. Science will not be able to prove anything the Vedas says, but they will not be able to disprove anything that is said in the Vedas. And whatever is said in the Vedas itself is timeless and unchanging. Moving on. Now, what is the condition of this Karana Shareeram? Yes, I can take one question. Yes, Nagaraji?
Spandanaji, thank you. I haven't got my video on because I'm not feeling very well. So sorry about that.
No problem.
You said the Karana Sharira is Anadi.
Yes.
But at the same time, it arises at the time of Srishti and then ends at the time of Pralaya.
No. I said that is, I was talking about the Sukshma and Sthula Shareeram.
Okay. So this one carries on beyond the Pralaya.
Yes, it carries on beyond Pralaya. It's basically goes back into unmanifest state.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I said that, then I was.
No, I think it must be me understanding it differently.
Yeah.
I put all these three Shariras together.
Okay.
Because ultimately, this is the reason for those two Shariras.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if this is the reason for those two Shariras, and the Shariras will take 84 lakh births or whatever until the next Pralaya happens or until Moksha happens, then when the Sthula and Sukshma, the Karanas are gone, then the Karyas are gone, Karana cannot stay anymore.
Right. Yeah, so we'll talk about that right now in the next section.
Okay, thank you.
So what is the condition of Karana Shareeram? It says it's of Nirvikalpaka Rupam, of an undifferentiated form. So anything which is in a seed form is undifferentiated. The various parts are not recognizable. Vikalpa is differences and Nirvikalpaka is without differences. In this physical body, the Sthula Shareeram, the differences are clear, right? In the Sukshma Shareeram, it is less clear, but still evident. You can tell, the intellect of one person from another, the emotions of one person from another, but it's less evident. But in Karana Shareeram, it's not detectable at all. So like anything in a seed form, it is undifferentiated. The various parts or attributes are not known yet. You can have two very identical looking seeds, maybe or even of the same fruit, but they will grow into completely different trees. One might become a very tall tree, giving several fruits a year, and one might just remain a small stump of a tree, right? So, but the whole potential of the tree already exists in the seed. Just looking at the seed, you might not know what kind of tree it will bear. So the tree is there in the potential form, but we cannot distinguish the parts when it is in the seed form. We do not know how big the tree will be, what kind of fruits it will bear, what quality of fruits it will bear. And it is the same with the first cells of an embryo, which are formed at the time of conception. The whole genetic makeup of the child to be born and the adult it will become is already mapped out, but these cannot be seen by the naked eye, right? So that's what we're talking about here. So that is why we say Karana Shareeram is Nirvikalpaka Rupam. It is of undifferentiated form. So as someone just asked correctly, we might wonder how many Karana Shareeram are there. There are as many Karana Shareeram as Sthula Shareeram in this that we have. So we're not talking about just the human physical bodies, but all living beings, all plant, all microorganisms, and not just in this loka, not just Bhuloka, but all 14 lokas that Shastra talks about. So out of the Karana Shareeram, the Sukshma Shareeram will come, which will last for one Shrishti, right? And the Sukshma Shareeram will acquire many Sthula Shareeram. So one Shrishti is about 4.3 billion human years or so. So that's the length of the Sukshma Shareeram. And the Sukshma Shareeram, the subtle body, not the Karana Shareeram, will get destroyed at Pralayam and at the time of dissolution of the universe. And all remains at the time of Pralayam is this Karana Shareeram. That is why when the Shrishti happens again, all the jivas and their Karana Shareerams are already there. So they will be as many jivas again. So they might not again take on the same Sthula Shareeram or even the same Sukshma Shareeram, but the jivas are there in unmanifest form in the Karana Shareeram. So I'll come to you quickly in a minute, Rolly. Let me just finish this. So before creation or after resolution, there will be Karana Shareeram. So no division is possible here. No subject-object duality will be recognizable. There will be no knower, knowable, no mind, no sense organs. Hence, we cannot talk about any form of knowledge. This is why it's called Sat Swarupa Jnanam, the state of ignorance of one's nature, the state of ignorance of everything, actually. So even cosmologists for ages have been trying to understand what happened before the Big Bang. They call it singularity, a state of no information, right? So then we will take a few more because it might make it clearer, but okay, Rolly, you can ask your question quickly.
Okay, I understand that this is a very complicated subject anyway, but I just wanted to ask that. So this Kara and Shareeram, first of all, one question, did you mention there are just three Shareeras, right?
Right.
Okay.
Sthula Shareeram. And we're talking about the Vyasti, the individual Jiva right now. So we will talk about all these Shareeras at the cosmic level, the Shamashti level also.
Okay, so so this Karan Shareeram, is it manifest or unmanifest? Because you said that after Pralay also it remains,
Aha. Yes.
and then it cannot be deciphered also in terms of differentiation. It is an undifferentiated thing. So and
Right.
Sat Swarupa, which is Sat Swarupa is like pure existence, which has no attributes, just like
Mhm.
the Karan Shareeram. So is
So
it
understand
manifest?
it like the seed,
The
right? So the
seed.
seed is the unmanifest form of the tree, right? So the whole potential of the tree is there in the seed,
Right.
but you
So
cannot
it's
see the
unmanifest.
tree. Its unmanifest form is the seed.
Got it.
But there is no worldly example to really explain this, because in the case of the Karna Shareeram, when the tree dies, it goes back into the seed form. So it also happens in creation, but in like more subtle ways, right? So the tree dies, it might disintegrate, it will go back to the earth, and from there something new will be born again.
So is it like a small fragment of Prakriti? Because Prakriti is the seed, the whole thing.
No, another word for Karana Shareeram is also Prakriti.
Ah,
Okay,
thanks.
but don't confuse it with Sankhya philosophy,
No,
because
no, 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 no.
Sankhya says, yeah. Yeah. So I'll come
Thank
to
you.
that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
So,
maybe everyone can note down their questions, because as we talk a little more, some more of these things will be clear. But if there's a question specifically about something I said, then you can ask that.
One more question, Swarna ji. So you said कि जो Karan Shareer are as many as there are Sthul Shareer in this universe.
Right.
So, and we see that the human population is increasing. So, is it like the total number remains static? Like, I know I've picked like a literal sentence, but I just want to understand that
No,
if there are.
it's a good question. It's actually, I talked about it in Bhagavad Gita verse today that we posted actually. So why do we say that? So what is this whole, we said we're not just talking about human jivas, right? We're talking about all jivas. So if you say, and we're also not just talking about this loka, we're talking about all 14 lokas. So the Karana Shareeram is the seed form of one jiva, but that jiva will not necessarily always take a human birth, right? So it could have taken an animal birth or a plant birth, and at some point they will take a human birth, and after a human birth they may go back to another lower birth, or they may continue in human birth till the time of moksha. So that explains, because we're not just talking about human jivas. That's the process of rebirth. We will again come to it in karma, which will tell us that reincarnation is what Shastra is telling us about, right? So we take birth in many different forms. And also, so right now, when you're talking about jivas, it's also all these tiny microorganisms, all living things, which are not even detectable to the eye. These are all jivas as well. And
So I
moreover,
like
there is more than one loka. There is not, so we are only aware of bhuloka, that we call this earth, but there are 14 lokas that Shastra talks about.
okay. So I've been thinking about this actually, that if we are like if we say this that there are about this events, then that would sort of mean that we are destroying we say that we're destroying the animals and all of that, but the human population is increasing. So that, in a way, that this like they are taking rebirth as maybe humans, like there are more and more.
Yeah, that doesn't take away the doership of our actions. But let's take this discussion post this session,
Oh,
because I would like to finish Karana Shareeram in this session, or most of it. And we can take the questions after 9 o'clock. right? So the author started off saying this is anirvachaniyam, not completely describable. So the technical word for this is mithya or maya. That is anirvachaniyam, which means it cannot be categorized as sat nor asat. It cannot be categorized as real or not real. Because what is sat? Sat is absolute existence. It's Brahman. It cannot be experienced through any objective experience. And asat is absolute non-existence. And again, it cannot be experienced. So this is because when we're talking about sat, we're talking about the consciousness principle. And we said this is not perceivable to any of the senses. And when we're talking about asat, something unreal, we're talking about something like, say, horn of a rabbit is an example which is given. You can never experience a horn of a rabbit because it does not exist, right? So mithya does not fall under sat, nor does it fall under asat. It is something like a dream. You cannot say that a dream doesn't exist because you experience it. Neither can you say it absolutely exists because then you wouldn't be able to shake it off on waking up. Therefore, the dream is in between. Shastra tells us that it's not only dreams that are in between, but everything else too that we experience. This in between is called anirvachaniyam. Some Vedanta books will explain anirvachaniyam as inexplicable. That is not exactly correct, because if it was inexplicable, there would be no point talking about it. And this discussion would end there. But we have to understand it instead as this in-between state. It basically means that it cannot be categorically said to be real nor unreal. Maya does not absolutely exist, but it is experienced all the time. Maya, however, can be negated. Absolute existence and non-existence, on the other hand, cannot be negated. So we give this example of Raju Sarpa, the snake rope in Vedanta. This is, I don't know if I've spoken to you all about this before, but it's a person is walking at twilight, a dim light, and they see this a rope, and they mistake it for a snake in the semi-darkness, and they get scared, right? And then just then the light is it's sunrise or something, so the sun comes up, and as there is more brightness, they see that, oh, it's actually not a snake, it's the rope. And so their fear goes away. So it's not that what was removed, all that was removed is because of the shining of the light, the ignorance was removed. And they saw what was actually there. So that experience existed, right? Because it generated an outcome, it generated emotions in this person. But it was negated with knowledge. So like this, yeah, this that is experienceable. Maya is what is experienceable, but when you make an inquiry to determine whether it is existent or non-existent, you will not really be able to determine. You experience darkness, but when you shine a light, the darkness seems to disappear. So what was the darkness? Right? So before creation and after dissolution, everything which is currently manifest goes into unmanifest state, which we call Karana Shareeram. Hence, there is no way to experience Karana Shareeram now. However, if we get a taste of Karana Shareeram in deep sleep, just to think of it as a model, not exactly what it is every night when we go to deep sleep, the Sthulis Shareeram seems to as though dissolve. We are not aware of this physical body in deep sleep. Same with the Sukshma Shareeram. The mind is not functioning in deep sleep. We are not having any emotions in deep sleep. The Gyanendriyas, Karmendriyas, knowledge, all are as though dissolved, right? Even Ahamkara, you cannot say, I am asleep while you're asleep. So individual sleep is a model of pralayam, just a model. Shastra calls it layaha. And finally, the author also told us it's anadi avidya rupam. So what is anadi? Anadi means beginningless. Anadi avidya rupam, it is the form of ignorance and doesn't have a beginning. Why? Because avidya, the self-ignorance, does not have a beginning. If we say avidya began, this ignorance began, what was there before it began? If ignorance was not there before, it's saying that knowledge was there. But if knowledge was there, how can ignorance even begin? So hence we say that it's beginningless, this avidya. However, this avidya, this ignorance, can come to an end through knowledge. It is not permanent. Hence, we call it mithya. Karana Shareeram is equated to spiritual ignorance, the ignorance of my true nature. As long as ignorance, avidya exists, Karana Shareeram exists. At the time of moksha, which is nothing other than removal of this avidya, this ignorance, Karana Shareeram is destroyed. But when we say destroyed, you have to think of this destruction as the wave merging into the water. The wave realizes that it is nothing but water and drops the mistaken identity. That is moksha. So avidya or Karana Shareeram does not have a beginning, but it does have an end. So what about the cause of Karana Shareeram? The author says the question itself is wrong, because by definition, Karana Shareeram is the cause and it's not the product. It is not born out of anything. It is anadi, beginningless. And like we said, other names of Karana Shareeram are avidya, mula avidya, which means the root. And at the samashti level, we will see that it's also known as Maya or Prakriti or Shakti. Right? So we will take some questions shortly, but just understand that, of course, the physical body was easy to understand. The subtle body is a bit more subtle, so harder, and the causal body is even more subtle. And you will all probably need to go and listen to this recording at least once more and make your own notes, right? And I think we will, because it is a difficult concept to grasp. Okay, so let me take any questions if you have. Shubhadaji, yes.
Yes, so I mean, there are three Traya Shareeram, and they say Panchakosha. So in that, when you try to correspond, the Anandamaya Kosh is the same as Karana Shareeram.
Yes, we will come to Panchakoshas though, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah, so the question is it the same as then Brahman or not? Is it the same as the Atma?
No.
Karana Shareeram.
Brahman is absolute existence. And Brahman is eternal. Brahman cannot end, right? But the Karana Shareeram, while it is beginningless, so both Brahman and Karana Shareeram or Maya are beginningless, but Brahman is eternal and Karana Shareeram can come to an end. So it is not the same as Brahman, it is mithya, so it is dependent on Brahman for its existence. Okay. Yeah, you'll have to, all these concepts, we'll have to do a lot of mananam on, which is why, I mean, the whole of Shastra is trying to just tell you what Tattva Bodha is telling you, right? The whole essence of the teaching is there in Tattva Bodha, but we can't get it with one text, which is why Shastra will tell you the same concepts again and again in different forms through different examples. Yes, Nagaraji.
Thank you, Spandanaji. So Karana Sharira is Anadi, but it can have Anta. And
Yes.
so if there is moksha, then Karana Sharira is gone, because then there is no reason for Sukshma and Sthula Shariras.
Correct.
But if there is pralaya, then everything goes back into Hiranyagarbha, and then it manifests again. Means it goes back to unmanifest state, and then it comes back to manifest state in the next srishti. So theoretically, there cannot be an end as well here, isn't it?
It ends with the time of moksha.
Okay.
So at the time of pralayam, it's not an end. At the time of pralayam, it's only going back to its unmanifest state.
Okay.
But at the time of moksha, it's destroyed. There is an end.
Thank you.
So one more question. Is there infinite number of Karana Shareeram? Can we say that?
We don't know the number. For sure. But there are as many Karana Shareeram as Jivas. I've not come across anything in Shastra which talks about the number of Karana Shareeram. But I will check on that and get back to you.
I want to share, Spannaji, one thing that I have not been able to understand Karana Shareeram in my last classes also. So I kept on.
That's wonderful. You know why? Because I was just reminded yesterday by Raviji that if you think you've understood Maya, you've definitely not understood Maya.
So this topic I have understood as just a seed form of
yes.
coolant.
That's a good takeaway at this point in the Tattva Bodha. To if all this is not, I mean, I would still recommend everyone goes through the recording once more and such. But in the end, you can just at least take away that it is the seed form. It is the unmanifest form. Right. And at the time of whenever is my internet okay? Okay. So at the time of whenever this universe is not in a manifest form, it goes back into the unmanifest form, which we call Karana Shareeram.
Thank you.
And a lot of concepts around this will become clearer as we go through Tattva Bodha itself. Yes, Rolly.
Sorry, I just have one question. I think this is a very important point that you just mentioned, that at the time of pralayam, the Karana Sharira doesn't end. At the time of moksha, it ends. So, which means that however many creations are there, like because it's a cycle, like you said, it's a cyclical event. So, but once you have got moksha, then you will not be reborn in any of those existences.
Yes, that's the promise.
Thank you.
But like I said, it's not, it's like the wave merging into the ocean.
Yes.
Yes. Right. Anyone else has a question? Good. So, Nagraji, yes.
I just want to go back to the same principle one last time.
Sure.
You said it is avidya rupam, but then you also said it is mithya, and it is mithya.
Avidya is another name
Avidya
for
rupa was,
mithya.
yeah, okay. Because it is not Brahman, i.e., it is not Satya, and it is not Asat, because it does exist.
Correct.
So that's why it is mithya.
No, you cannot say it absolutely exists.
Okay.
Nor can you say it absolutely does not exist. It's an in-between.
In between. That's why it is mithya.
That's why it's mithya. That's why this concept of mithya is only there in Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta.
Yeah. So you can also then say it is Maya.
Yes, mithya is another word for Maya. All these are. So we're talking about the Vyashti Karana Shareeram right now. We will talk about the Samashti Karana Shareeram also, and that is called Maya.
Thank you.
Rolly, did you have one more question? See, your hand is still up. Okay. Good. So I'll let you all mull over that. In summary, for now, you just need to keep in mind that the causal body is the potential seed form of the physical and subtle bodies before creation. And the nearest experience or model of this causal body, we will get in deep sleep state, where we are not aware of anything, not even aware of the fact that I am asleep. So, and what is the length of each of these? We finished now the topic of the three bodies, and we will move on to the next classification of Anatma. So the physical body is, its lifetime is one janma, one birth. The subtle body, its lifetime is one shrishti, and the causal body, it continues as the seed even after pralayam. So just like the farmers keep seeds for planting in the next season, Ishvara is an intelligent farmer who keeps these seeds for the next shrishti. So what is it that absolutely exists? Only the Atma exists, which the author told us is different from these three bodies. And it is the Sakshi, the witness of three states of experience that we will talk about in the next class. Okay. Thank you. Let's end with the prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Have a wonderful weekend and week, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Spandana ji.
Thank you very much.
Oh, actually, just before you all go, I just thought of something. Let me end the recording.
It's 9 o'clock.
Okay, never mind. So I'm in Delhi right now. I mean, I'm in Noida for a week. Any of you are from Delhi? We can maybe have a little satsanga meet one of these days.
Yeah, I'm in Delhi.
So anyways, I'll maybe post it on the group later. And if there is some of you who are here and interested to meet, we can have a little meet.
Okay, sure, Sandra.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.